Welcome to the Thunderdome, ladies and gentlemen. That's my nickname for Octoduron, which is a map I just played on. The reason I gave it that name is just because it has a nice little mountain pass and this arena here in the center that is good for 1v1. It's one of my favorite maps in the game, and a lot of famous battles have been played here. In fact, if you guys remember from the Scan and Intel tournament, me and Heir of Carthage played our game number 3 on this map. And I've been thinking about that tournament a lot recently and how much fun I had and how good it was for the Total War community. So if you guys actually haven't seen those games, which I'm sure most of you have if you're subbed to my channel, then you should go watch me versus the Prince of Macedon in our first series, me versus the Heir of Carthage in my second series, me versus the Prussian Prince in the third series, and then me against Point Man in the fourth series. And all of those games are on YouTube on my channel, so if you guys never did get to see me play in those games, you should definitely go check them out. When I played Heir of Carthage in Game 3 on this map, I was Rome, as I am now, and I played against Egypt. But in this game, I'm going to be against the Arverni. So, we're going to press play right now and take a look at the army setups. I brought 4 Armored Legionnaires, a Praetorian Guard, an Eagle Cohort, 2 Auxiliary Cavalry, Legatus is my general, 3 Balearic Slingers, and 2 Triarii, and 1 Velite. So, my opponent is Desert Fox, good friend of mine. Been playing him in games on YouTube for a while now. He brought Savage Dogs, 2 Oathsworn, a bunch of Chosen Swordsmen, and 5 Heavy Horse. So he's going to have the cavalry advantage this game, and you're going to see him try to exploit that as much as possible. First thing that's going to happen here is he's going to try to use these Savage Dogs, which I don't get to see utilized effectively very often, and I can't say that he utilized them effectively this game. They're kind of a weird unit, like they're very niche. They're really good at killing off skirmishers, but it's not always easy to get them directly where you want them to go, and of course they get killed by cavalry or spears or anything to get in the way. So what he's going to do here is he's going to see my Balearic Slingers come up, and then he's just going to release them. They are kind of a fire and forget unit. You hope that they kill a bunch of skirmishers, and if I didn't protect my slingers or support them in any way, they would absolutely just destroy 3 units of them very, very quickly. But I am going to send in this auxiliary cavalry and just try to take them off the field, and then also back it up with a Triarii. And while I do that, we're actually going to get some little close-ups. I don't like seeing dogs die, but we're going to have to watch it here because this is important, getting those guys off the field. I'm going to kill those real quick, but he's going to try to get his heavy horse around my flank. And one of the kind of interesting things about how this battle shaped at the beginning of the game was the deployment zone was right there for him and right here for me, and instead of starting at the top end of the deployment zone so he could get a higher elevation, he actually started down there. And the first thing I did was start in my deployment zone and run up here and get the high ground. So he ceded the high ground to me, which I'm not sure was a great idea. I'm not sure if he wanted to just fight in the woods and realize that I wouldn't take a fight in the woods. But regardless of how it shaped out, he decided to attack me here. And these doggies are trying to kill some of my slingers, and actually that guy just got his throat ripped out, so that sucks for him. So yeah, the dogs are pretty annoying because even if you don't kill every last one, a couple of the dogs are still going to do a lot of damage, and I lost a third of my Balearic Slinger here to like 4 or 5 dogs. But I noticed it and pulled them back out again. And he's going to get a true surround off here. He's got 3 heavy horse on that side, 2 heavy horse behind me. Maybe he had 6 heavy horse. I think he did. Yeah, he did. He had a lot of heavy horse this game, and he's going to try to utilize that cavalry advantage to its fullest potential. But basically what this is going to make me do is turtle. I do have the superior position being on the hill, but I can't really afford to just run willy-nilly at him, because if I do that, it's going to get my lines pretty disordered and make it a lot harder to protect my slingers and my sword units from getting charged. So at the moment, I'm just doing my best to ward off his cavalry, make sure they don't get any charges into my legionnaires or into my Balearic Slingers. It's not a big deal if he goes directly into one of my legionary units because they have really high armor, pretty good defense. That's not a big deal. But if he kills my slingers, then he no longer really has to attack me, and he can kind of just whittle away. And that's why I'm doing my absolute best to protect all of my range units, because if they die really early on in the battle, that's going to be a problem for me. So he is going to start moving up here. I wasn't sure if he was going to truly commit to an attack or if he was just trying to bait. At the moment, you can see this unit is trying to get at my slingers, and I'm going to do my best to start shooting them. Get a couple of kills here, but Slingers have never been super effective at cavalry, of course, because they're just going to run out of range as soon as you get a volley or two off. But he ran around, tried to get him, and I just pulled back behind my legionnaires. And just kind of a game of cat and mouse at the moment. Who can kill unsupported slingers? And I'm not letting him get to them. But he does have me really surrounded, and in this kind of situation, it's really important to be patient. Make sure that you don't make any really dumb mistakes. Like, some players I've seen would just run directly at his army, as I'm doing now, and leave their slingers unsupported and just lose them. And that's what he wants. I'm going to run forward. He doesn't want to take the infantry engagement yet, and he pulls back, which is very smart of him. So he's just baiting and seeing if he can make me make a stupid mistake, but I'm not going to let that happen, or I'm going to try my best not to. So, again, just cat and mouse. He's baiting, wants me to get really out of position so that he can bring his cavalry around and hit the back of my slingers. But one thing that you'll notice I'm doing here is I am keeping a anti-cav unit on all sides of my army. I have a triarii on one flank, a triarii on another flank, and then cavalry in my rear. So he really doesn't have a lot of openings. He did get a charge off there, but it really did almost nothing to my eagle cohort, so really wasn't a big deal at all. And again, with those baits, he's just trying to pull me out, get me out of position. So now he's actually going to commit to the fight. He feels like he can take an infantry engagement. He does have me completely surrounded, so he might be right. On this flank, he's going to get heavy horse and charge directly into Praetorian Guard. Not sure this was the best idea just because they have such high armor and defense. But I'm quickly going to wrap around with my triarii. And one mistake that I definitely made this game was I did not actually take formation attack off, which was definitely a mistake. And what formation attack does is it allows your men to wrap around your opponent, and basically they fight better in melee. All of my swords right now have formation attack on, so they're not going to fight quite as efficiently as they normally would, and that was definitely a mistake. But regardless, infantry engagement has started in earnest. I quickly run my general forward and try to get a rally off, and now his cavalry is coming in from the rear, and this is when it gets kind of scary, because I do not have a lot of units that are ready to deal with this. I have the triarii on my left flank, and I have my general, and I'm going to pull them out and try to tie down some of this heavy horse, but my slingers are exposed, and like the good player that he is, he's going to pull his heavy horse around and get directly into those slingers, and this is an issue, because I need to keep these guys alive. I noticed it though. I had killed one of his chosen swordsmen and pulled my armor legionnaires out of the fight, and tried to get them into these heavy horse, but unfortunately I didn't do a good enough job protecting them, and I am basically going to lose all of my slingers here. They had done already a pretty decent job. Like, one of them had 130 kills, one of them had 60 or 70, so they had already been useful to me, but I still didn't want to lose them there, and it was still too early in the fight. So I'm going to lose my cav in the back here, and he's going to be able to collapse in. And this is when it gets really scary, because my general is dead or close to dead. He's at half strength right now, but I think my general died in that fight, or he's going to die soon. And I am winning on the front here. My Praetorian Guard are holding very strong. Should be able to beat chosen swordsmen very easily. But again, he has the cavalry advantage. He's able to send his cavalry into the back of some of my elite troops. And he's just collapsing in on all sides on me, and it's making this engagement very hard. So I am winning in some parts of the engagement, which is really good, but the balance bar is even, and he has cav, which means he's free to hammer and anvil, unless I do a good job of protecting my troops. So the saving grace here, as he gets a rear charge off into these armor legionnaires, is that I do have 2 full units of triarii, which are holding the flanks down. I would have just lost right here. I would have lost all of these guys if I didn't have that triarii, if I hadn't pulled them out of the fight at the beginning and made sure that his cav couldn't get free charges off into my infantry. Of course, on some parts of the line he did, but I have done a pretty decent job of shutting down his cavalry charges and making sure they don't do too much damage, with the exception of my slingers. So right here, this is my Eagle cohort in melee combat with the Oathsworn. It's a pretty even fight, and this is his general. And if I'm able to kill him, I might be able to cause a chain rout. So that's definitely one of the important parts of this battle. On this side, my Praetorian Guard are wavering, but they managed to rout the chosen swordsman and the heavy horse. So they actually stopped wavering, which was really big, because my triarii right here have just been tanking for forever. They don't have very many kills, I don't think. Actually, they have 150, so they have a crap load of kills. But they've just been bossing it up on this flank, and what that has done is allowed me to bring my Praetorian Guard in to reinforce over here and kill off his cavalry. And basically, after I killed his gen, I caused a chain rout, which meant that I was going to win the battle. So really bloody melee engagement, really hard fought. I managed to pull it out just from protecting myself against the rear charges from his heavy horse as best as I could. And honestly, the better infantry army won. I picked Rome against Arverni because I know that in a melee fight, and this is not always the case, but Rome does have a better selection of infantry, and I was able to win the infantry fight, and that's really what it came down to. He had the cavalry advantage, but he wasn't quite able to exploit it the way he would have liked, because I think I did a pretty decent job of making sure that those guys didn't get great charges off, and ultimately I was able to protect my guys and win a kind of grind out melee fest. So yeah, his Oathsworn did really well, 160 kills, 122, and those are against elite infantry units in the Armor Legionnaires and the Eagle cohort. And his cavalry did fantastic too. I mean, a lot of them had close to 100 kills or more than 100 kills. What won me the game, again, was I just think that the Roman army has a better, superior infantry corps. And I think that really just helped me in that grinded out melee fest a lot. Savage Dogs got 67 kills. I guess those were all on slingers. It's just really annoying because like you can't really see them very easily. So even if like 6 or 7 dogs get through to your slingers, they're going to do a lot of damage. And I lost like 40 or 50 in one unit from like 4 or 5 dogs. I think another thing that really helped me in that fight, and I think it was an interesting decision from Desert Fox and maybe the wrong decision, was that he didn't contest the hill at the beginning. When we first deployed, and you didn't see it because I didn't want to skip the 3 or so minutes of setting up, but I made sure that he couldn't get the high ground. And if he had deployed on the right side of his deployment zone on the hill and then just run straight to the top of the hill, I think that would have been a different battle. But at the same time, I'm not sure that he would have been able to flank his cavalry as easily. So it was a trade-off. Ultimately, I think he was in a good position with his surround. Like, he did a really good job surrounding me. I think that the melee fight was harder for him, though, because I had that hill advantage. So, anyway, hope you guys enjoyed it. I did play another match with him, and I'll probably upload that one as well. And if you guys want to see anything, feel free to request. It looks like me and Madness will be starting a Sekigahara campaign on Shogun 2 very soon. The problem is that he's been having crashes, and until those get fixed, we might not be able to. So no timetable on that yet. I'm hopeful we'll be able to start tomorrow. We were trying to start today, and he just crashed like 2 or 3 times in a row. But that's a really interesting mod for the Shogun 2 head-to-head campaign, and we'll be doing an overview of that and explaining the history between the 2 clans we've decided on, and we'll go into depth with that later. So hope you guys enjoyed. Talk to you all later. Indie Pride signing out. Peace.